We are going to take you on a journey into the heartbeat of the Pretoria city. We are going to Pretoria West. Pretoria West is the industrial mecca of South Africa, a dynamic, diverse working class community that has defined the concept of healing and reconciliation by itself without ANC grandstanding empty slogans where they preach reconciliation on one side, while on the other side say kill the Boer and all white farmers. The white and the black has been living side by side long ago, amidst tensions of apartheid. Yet the bonds of humanity persisted. But let us start on a factual premise. South African people are largely Christian. That is fact. No debate. The ANC brought in not a Christian constitution, but secular constitution with Marxist-Leninism communism. Undertones. 30 years of trying to turn South Africans into communist apparatchiks. And what did the ANC get? A country that's still Christian, not worshipping before Karl Marx and his Communist Manifesto and Das Kapital. They tried everything, the ACP. Alliances, black economic empowerment socialism, cadre deployment, slogans borrowed from Vladimir Lenin's grave. But the truth is stubborn. South Africans remain deeply Christian, fiercely practical, and allergic to communism ideology that says there is not God. The communists? They've only attracted the fringes, a few EFF foot soldiers in red berets chanting, like a cosplay revolution. Even that's starting to fade. In 2019, the EFF got 10.8%. They jumped to 18% and came tumbling down. They've hit their ceiling, and the ANC from 62% in 1994 to 57% to 53% to 40% in 2024, and now plunging to 29% according to the latest IRR polls. It has lost power, not just electorally, but morally, spiritually, and culturally. It no longer commands the heart of the nation. It no longer leads, it lingers. The ANC is not the government anymore. It's a ghost in government buildings. The people have moved on. Only the party hasn't noticed. South Africans are not interested in being ideological guinea pigs. They're building, praying, fixing, surviving, and no amount of Marxist poetry can replace a broken carburetor or a week without food. So here's the real punchline. The ANC lost power because it never understood the people. And the people? They never needed the ANC to begin with. The people of South Africa never needed a politically engineered reconciliation that seeks to alter the makeup of South African Christian worldview to Karl Marx and Vladimir Lenin, the gods of the ANC. Even the ANC started first as a Christian movement by Christian ministers like John Dube, Sefako Magato, Sol Plaatje, Dr. James Moroka, A.B. Schumer. The ANC was hijacked in 1940s by communists and Nelson Mandela, who sold out to communists, and since then we are being defined by this communist ANC. But the people cannot be fooled. South Africa today bears the testimony of a country that had rejected communism. An ordinary South African has got nothing to do with communism. They didn't ask for staged handshakes, symbolic slogans, or top-down photo ops between elites who didn't speak the language of the working class. The truth? Reconciliation was already happening long before the ANC stood at podiums preaching it. It was happening in workshops, in backyards, in scrapyards, and spaza shops, where black and white South Africans were already working side by side, fixing cars, wiring homes, welding gates, and mocking apartheid with quiet defiance. The irony is staggering. While the world hailed a new dawn in 1994, the real dawn had begun in the late 1980s, not in Parliament, but in the greasy garages of Pretoria West and the small businesses of Booysens. Apartheid was already fading, like old paint peeling from forgotten walls. What remained wasn't hatred, but habit, and ordinary people were already choosing to abandon it in favor of practical, peaceful coexistence. And then the ANC arrived, not to build that silent foundation into something stronger, but to hijack it, rename it, and repackage division as progress. They sold racial gatekeeping, not unity. They dressed their brand of reconciliation with Karl Marx Communist Manifesto and Das Kapital. They legislated exclusion and hate, not inclusion. This 5-part series returns to that bottom. We will take you deep into Pretoria West and surrounding areas where men and women, black and white, are forging a new constitution their own constitution rooted within African Christian values, not the communism dogma of the ANC. This constitution is built on engine blocks, solar panels, with welding rods and windscreen glue. You will meet real people who do not chant slogans from Communist Manifesto. They are just people, humble and natural. You will see that the true South African miracle is not a political event. It's a working class truth. It's been here all along. It never needed permission. Welcome to the Brotherhood in the Noise, a 5-part tribute to the real South Africa the media forgot and the politicians never built. Real people, real human relations, real reconciliation, far away from the maddening communist slogans of the ANC. I have mentioned already that the ANC, with its communist rhetoric of permanent revolution, always looking for enemies, is far removed from the people. Let us go to the ground. In the roar of Pretoria West, where engines groan and welding sparks flash like city fireworks, something unexpected is happening. Not in air-conditioned boardrooms or NGO seminars, but in the heart of the working class, in places that reek of oil, sweat, and soldered steel. Let's begin in Philip Nell Park, where a once fiercely independent AfriForum youth leader named Arno finds himself adjusting a welding mask handed to him by Brazizwe, a veteran artisan with 3 decades of panel-beating wisdom etched in his palms. The sparks fly, but this time not in confrontation, rather cooperation. Arno's AfriForum overalls are oil-stained now, not from display but from doing, from learning, from humbling himself in the company of a man society once told him to fear, or worse, ignore down the road in Boysons past the scent of burning. Brake pads and curry from a Pakistani eatery, Bra Lebo guides 2 white men, one a new recruit to a civil defense volunteer group, the other an IT dropout, through the delicate work of replacing shattered windscreens. Glasses like South Africa, Lebo laughs. Break it, it cuts you, fit it right, it holds everything together. Then comes Moot Street, the artery of mechanical hustle, where Zulu, English, and Afrikaans blur under the clang of spanners. In a makeshift solar installation workshop wedged between 2 scrapyards, and Tate Jomo, an old MK man turned solar tech, mentors young white apprentices from Danville in off-grid solar backup systems. Your boy grandparents were off-grid before it was fashionable, he says. Now let's do it the 2025 way. And there's Van der Hof Street, Pretoria's own industrial jungle. Here, every corner hides a mechanic's lair or an exhaust specialist sweating under car lifts. Amid the grime and grease, a black female electrical tubing expert named Madame Larato trains a new batch of AfriForum-linked volunteers in wiring basics. Not for certificates, but for community, she says. You want to talk peace? Lay conduit together. None of this is on the evening news. No press conference, no flashy grant. Just the everyday rebellion of the ordinary. Black artisans teaching white boys with hard hands and awkward Afrikaans how to solder, fix, install, and build. Not because someone paid them, but because the noise of Pretoria West is sacred. It doesn't lie. It doesn't theorize. Builds. And in this chaotic harmony of hammering metal and whirring grinders, a new South African brotherhood is being forged. Not by speeches or slogans, but by the fusion torch, the ratchet, and the wisdom passed from one hand to another in the noise. Always in the noise. Beyond slogans, the brotherhoods of Pretoria. West was the fantasy of hate. In our first series, we took you deep into Pretoria West, into the loud, greasy arteries of Philip Nell Park, Boysons, Moot Street, and Van der Hof. Street where black mentors taught white learners how to weld, panel beat, install solar systems, fix windscreens, and lay electrical tubing. What we found there wasn't a melting pot. It was a forging furnace, brotherhood forged in sweat, grit, and practical collaboration. But now we must ask, where does a song like Kill the Boer fit in all this? The truth is, it doesn't. It echoes nowhere in the panel beating yards of Boysons. It finds no rhythm in the hum of solar inverters being installed in Moot Street. It dies in the crackle of welding arcs in Philip Nell Park. These violent slogans are not born of lived experience. They are imported chants, leftovers from a cold ideological past. Communist theater, revolution cosplay. Real life is more complex, more human. While politicians gather crowds to chant rage and recycle struggle rhetoric, the men and women in Pretoria West are too busy working together. They're fixing broken cars, not singing about breaking people. They're teaching skills, not inciting violence. They're building bridges between communities with metal and wire, not burning bridges with ideology and microphones. The idea that hatred or extermination has a place in today's South Africa is intellectual laziness, the kind that keeps political parties relevant by manufacturing enemies, while the real country runs on generators, mechanic pits, solar panels, and shared know-how. In the workshops of Pretoria West, no one is asking who's the Boer or who's the revolutionary. They're asking for the right tool, the right angle, and if the inverter is SABS approved. Reality has no time for slogans, so let this be known. The streets of Pretoria West, noisy, oily, battered, and brave, have already moved on from the chants of death. They've chosen Brotherhood, not because it's fashionable, but because it's functional. Everyone wins. Series 3, Hoshri Seizure 3, The Gospel of Greece, When Work Silences War. Drums, you've already walked with us through Series 1 into the industrial heartbeat of Pretoria West, where black artisans and white youth built a brotherhood, not with slogans, but with socket wrenches. You saw in Series 2 how the Kill the Boer chant sounded like drunken echoes in a sober world of real men and women welding side by side, hammering out unity from the steel of struggle. Now welcome to Series 3. This is not about slogans. It's about generators roaring louder than revolutions. It's a Monday morning in Pretoria Industrial Park. Not far from Van der Hof Street, a lanky white kid from Hermanstad, overalls dripping with axle grease, kneels next to T-Bone, an old panel beater who used to run a chop shop in the 90s, but now teaches paintless dent repair to keep kids off the street. Don't fight apartheid, boy. T-Bone chuckles, fight rust. They both laugh, then get back to sanding a shake. BMW door from Mamelodi. Across the freeway, in a forgotten corner of Kirkney, a mobile mechanic unit is repairing broken down taxis and delivery baggies. At the center is Auntie Stella, a Sangha woman with grease on her cheeks and a torque wrench in her hand. Her assistant? Cobus, a 22-year-old plain, 22-year-old Afrikaner with a bulb, broken teeth, and a heart of gold. We fight poverty here, she says, not people. Meanwhile, in Dasport, the unlikely miracle of cooperation continues. Bravuzi, a solar wizard who lives in a shack with 3 dogs, runs a Saturday class on sustainable energy systems. He's training a group of right-wing homeschoolers whose parents once thought Eskom load shedding was a leftist conspiracy. Now, they're off-grid. I'm forever grateful. They feared me, Bravuzi grins. Now I power their kettles. Let's take a detour to a dim alley off Quagga Road, where you'll find the Fix-It Brotherhood, a rogue garage collective of former prisoners, white metalheads, and black bush mechanics. They rebuild old engines, talk philosophy, and fix each other's broken pasts. Their only rule: no politics, no profits, just pistons. So you see, while social media breeds culture wars, Pretoria's garages are welding the truce. Where are the protest poets? Nowhere near here. Where are the Marxists? Not under the car lift. Where are the slogans drowned out by the hiss of tire compressors? Because work is a gospel, a new one. And in this gospel, no one cares where you come from, only what you can fix. This is Series 3, not a revolution of fists, but of function. Not enemies, but elbow grease. Not ideology, but ignition. Series 4, Sparks and Silence, where the working class kills the noise of hate. In the first 3 chapters of this journey, we saw a brotherhood rise in Pretoria West, not from speeches, but from sweat. We saw how welding torches and wheel alignment bays became altars of peace. We saw how slogans like "Kill the Boer" faded into irrelevance under the roar of grinders and the sermon of skill. Now, in Series 4, we enter something deeper: silence. Not absence of noise, but the presence of purpose. Welcome to Elandsport, a place where broken radiators hang from barbed wire like wind chimes, and every corner smells like diesel and fire. But today there's no shouting, no slogans, no debates. Only the high-pitched rhythm of a MIG welder and the quiet respect between two men. Tate Lefa, a soft-spoken old-school welder from Soshanguve, and Dean, a 19-year-old apprentice from a conservative Afrikaans family. They don't talk politics. They barely talk at all. But their work says everything. Over in West Park, there's Mayana's Glass Temple, a windscreen workshop where Zulu prayers mix with the sound of rubber seals and glass cutters. Her most promising trainee? Ruan, a teenage dropout from Wonderboom, who once believed the world owed him a future. Now he earns it daily, one pain at a time. Silence taught him, Ma'ana says. Not textbooks, not hashtags. And then there's Mountain View, where a forgotten municipal lot has become the people's auto yard. Black and white mechanics, ex-gangsters, retirees, ex-cops, undocumented immigrants work side by side restoring police auction vehicles. They've seen blood. They've buried friends. They now build engines together in monastic silence because they know the world is loud with useless noise. One of them, Bra Sam, says it best. A man with tools in hand doesn't have time to hate. He's too busy saving his life. In these places, hate dies not in courts or parliaments, but in the silence between wails, in the pauses between panel-beating thumps, in the concentration it takes to wire a fuse box without burning a backy down. Slogans are easy. Work is hard. Screaming is easy. Listening is hard. Killing is easy. Fixing is sacred. So we ask again, where is the real South Africa? Not in Twitter threads, not in parliament theatrics, not in protest choruses echoing from borrowed ideologies. It's here, in the stillness after the spark, in the gospel of the grind. Our black economic empowerment. That is BE didn't create an economy. It created a criminal ecosystem. South Africa has been lied to. The nation was promised black economic empowerment, BEE. What it got instead was a black elimination enterprise. A system so corrupt, so violent, so blood-drenched that it deserves not policy review, but total obliteration. What did it actually create? A cartel economy, a network of assassins in tailored suits. A black-on-black silent war where bullets are cheaper than accountability. Whistleblower? Dead. Municipal manager? Dead. Integrity? Dead. All in the name of empowerment. What did it actually create? A cartel economy, a network of assassins in tailored suits. A black-on-black silent war where bullets are cheaper than accountability. All in the name of empowerment. Name the dead. Speak the blood. Ralph Kanyani. Shot dead for investigating corruption in Limpopo. Babida Del Karan. Gunned down for exposing looting in Gauteng Health. Wandile Botswana. Executed for standing between ANC-linked mafia and billions in tenders. The ANC didn't silence critics with arguments. They silenced them with bullets. And the killers, not apartheid agents, not Boers, not racists, black, trained, paid, protected by who? The tender system, the cadre network, the Party of Liberation. This is not governance. This is a black ops operation in broad daylight. This is a regime that uses empowerment to commit economic terrorism on its own people. This is not redistribution. This is retribution against any black official who dares to say, no, not on my watch. And what happens when a black person refuses to play the ANC's B game? You lose the tender. You lose the job. You lose the contract. Then you lose your life. No BE 2.0. Scrap it. Burn it. Replace it with a value-based system of common life empowerment where what matters is your skill, not your skin. Your product, not your party card. Your service, not your surname. It needs builders, and they're already here. They are black. They are white. They are colored. They are Indian. They wear overalls, not Gucci. They hold spanners, not state contracts. They build, not kill. Let this article be the funeral of BE and the birth cry of a people-driven economy, written in rage, backed by fact, delivered in fire. Here's how we do it, methodically, clearly, and unforgettably to help the people. Solidly connect the assassinations to the ANC's power structure. Step 1, follow the motive. Who benefits? Whenever a government official is assassinated after exposing a tender scandal, ask one question. Who would lose money or power if this person lived? It's not the random hitman. It's not the guy on the back of a bike. It's the ANC-aligned individual or company about to be exposed. It's the mayor, the MEC, the deployed cadre, the BEE front who was just about to lose access to millions. That's the motive. And it leads directly into ANC boardrooms. Step 2. Look at the patterns. Ralph Kanyane investigated ANC-linked corruption in Limpopo, assassinated. Babita Deokaran flagged irregular payments in Gauteng Health, tied to ANC cronies, assassinated. Wandale Bozwana challenged tender irregularities linked to North. West ANC officials, assassinated. Sindizo Magaka exposed corruption in Umzimkhulu municipality, assassinated. Every victim was investigating public money, was connected to a municipality or department under ANC control, was killed without any real justice against masterminds, only low-level shooters arrested. These are not isolated incidents. It is policy by proxy. Step 3. Trace the cadre deployment. Web every state department, SOE, municipality, and procurement board is led by a deployed ANC loyalist. These cadres don't get there by accident. They're not civil servants. They're political operatives with a job. Protect the flow of tenders and kill resistance, even metaphorically or literally. When a fellow cadre blocks theft, they are no longer a comrade. They become a threat to the ANC's internal extraction machine, and accidents start happening. Step 4. Link the silence to guilt. Why doesn't the ANC ever call for national mourning over assassinated officials? Why doesn't Luthuli House organize mass marches against corruption-linked killings? Why do whistleblowers live in fear while corrupt mayors are protected by VIP security? Because the ANC knows these are its own internal kills. Step 5. Reveal the hidden economy. These killings are not about politics. They're about a multi-billion rand shadow economy where construction mafias get contracts for schools that are never built. Health department insiders approve invoices for PPE that never arrived. Municipal budgets disappear into ANC-linked. NGOs, foundations, and fronts .BEE and cadre deployment created this system. The ANC sustains it through fear and blood. If you fight it, you don't face political rebuttal. You face a gun.